Hello and welcome to Ice Dice. My name's Evan and this is Mike.
Hello!
And today we're going to be taking a look at Codenames. Codenames is a game from Czech Games Edition designed by Vlaada Chvatil for 2 to 12 players, and it's a party word guessing game. So the way this game is played is you lay out a grid of 25 word cards. You divide into 2 teams, and on each team there'll be one clue giver and everyone else is a guesser. The clue givers will share a card that corresponds to that grid of cards. The red team's words are the ones that are red on that card, and the blue team's are the blue ones. And then there's also some innocent bystanders and an assassin, which we'll explain how it works later. So the way the clue givers give clues is they can say one word and a number. And the word is the clue, and the number is how many of those cards they want the guessers to try to guess. The guessers will decide one word at a time what they want to guess. When they're right, you mark it with their team's agent token. If you're wrong, there's several things that can happen. If they guess a bystander, their turn immediately ends. If they guess the other team's word, their turn ends and they just gave the other team one of their words. But what you really don't want to do is guess the assassin, because you immediately lose the game. If the clue is, for example, car 2, and the guessers were able to guess both of the words, they get an additional guess. The game goes on until either one team guesses the assassin and is eliminated, or somebody gets all of their team's words. So that's pretty much an overview, but why don't we show people how this works? So I have this grid of words up on the screen for them, and I'm not showing them either which ones they are, but I'm going to give you a clue, and I want you to see if you can get this. I'm giving you a clue of fruit 3.
Fruit 3.
So it's telling them that there's 3 words, or 3 of them that I related to fruit that belong to my team.
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is jam, so I'm going to go there.
I'm not sure why that's the first one that came to mind, but you are correct.
My next one is the most obvious fruit, which is a lemon, which is
Yeah,
actually
see, that's
fruit.
why it seems like that seems like the most obvious one.
And then because fruit pie is the most thing, so I'll go pie, because those are made of fruit.
Nope, that's wrong.
Oh.
I'm going to mark that with this one. Now, that's okay, because I knew that there were 4 words that were related to fruit. But he's going to have an opportunity that still gives him a clue that there's one more word left with fruit on there. So let's try this again. Let's say that the blue team took their turn, and now we're back to our team. And I say Sphinx 2.
Sphinx 2. Well, Egypt, obviously.
That is correct.
Now, all right, so Sphinx is a thing. It's not it's a kind of a lion thing. Okay, lion.
That is correct. Now, my clue was Sphinx 2. He guessed both those words, so now he gets an opportunity to guess again. And since on fruit 3, he only got 2 of them right, he knows there's one more word related to fruit.
Fruit. Oh, okay.
Dragon, that's right. Dragon fruit. You know, when I first gave that guess, I thought you might not be able to. But we don't get a guess again. He got an extra guess because we got 2 right, and then he guessed that one, but now it's the blue teams.
Mm-hmm.
There are a few things, like you do want to be careful when you really want to know which one the assassin word is, and you don't want to give any clue that's close to that, because on this case, where if the assassin was one of those fruit words, I couldn't have used the fruit clue because it's too dangerous that they're going to get it wrong. But you've played this a few times, right? What do you think about it?
I think that Vlaada Chvatil would be a lot of fun to hang out with at parties. Now, back in the day, before the internet, there was a lot of game shows, and there were a lot. This is important because there were a lot of board games that were made from game shows. And one of us that stands the test of time is something called password. And the way password worked is you would give a word, and then they would guess the word you were thinking of, the secret word. And the verbiage that was used in that was something to the point where if it was opposite, you would say something like, you would give a certain inflection on your word. You'd say white, and then the person might say black, and then that'd be a thing. But obviously you can't do that with the opposite word. But what you can do with the number with the number inflection is, instead of saying something to the fact of just white 2, and maybe the words are snow, and maybe one of them is paper. Okay, white, and I say 2. I go white, and then I go 3. And then you're thinking, all right, well, he said white in a particular manner, so okay, it's paper, it's snow, and then he goes, and he goes white, and then maybe the word is like coconut, right? And because I said white in such a manner, which is saying it's in the neighborhood of white, you go, oh, coconut's white on the inside. That's probably what he's going for. I'm leading the witness, as it were. That's what I'm saying. That's why I like this game, because it works on the same brilliant thing that the password game show worked on, which is the way you say the word is just as important as the word and the number.
I think there's some of that in this game, but I think it's going to be unusual situations. Password was a lot. The one thing about Password was that it was one word, but the object is you want to go through quickly. You want to get through like 10 and 30 seconds or something like that. So there's a lot of that convention because you're only trying to get people to say one word. I think it's a little bit more difficult in this game because, like you say, the opposite inflection for that game was what how do you do the opposite again?
White.
Oh yeah, white. But unless they're all opposite in this game, you can't really do that. And even then, if it was all opposite, you'd just give a clue for black. I mean, maybe that could come up. But I mean, if that's why you like the game, I'm like, well, that's not going to come up that often.
All right, I like.
So, but what else do you like about it then?
The other thing I like about it is when you're behind. So say for example, this is our game board. Now blue basically has to play catch up. So blue has to say stuff that they know either they're gonna go 3 or 2 or more. They can't go 1. They got to go big or go home. So they're just gonna throw out big concepts and hope somebody grabs it. Not so vague as like nouns, but like places for, and they're like, hopefully they know what I'm thinking, or if they were real clever like me, they would say places with an inflection that way where it was from. But there's no way to do that. I know. I know. But they would say they would go big or go home, and that adds to the fun because places for, and they go bang bang, and maybe there's no other thing that's a place. But that's the fun part, is that if it's close you can trade off, like you said, you can just do the password aspect and just go one word. But if you're behind, it's more fun because they have to go big or go home.
Well, that actually reminds me of something, is that and it's going to seem like a tangent here at first.
Fair enough.
Rules lawyering. Now, I've seen people talk about, when they see people talk about a rule being ambiguous, they say, I think this rule is ambiguous. I think it could mean this. And other people say, no, it could mean this. And there are people who say, well, that's rules lawyering, arguing over the ambiguity. To me, that's not rules lawyering. I've seen with this game some real rules lawyering. Because to me, what rules lawyering is being able to do something that's technically legal but outside the spirit of the game. And I've seen a couple people propose things like, for example, one of the things is that the clue giver can only say their clues. They can't say anything else. So I've seen people say, well, couldn't you go, hey, clue giver, we think that this cover and foot are our words, so if you say any word 2, we're going to guess those 2 words. So then when they go, body 1, they go, okay, so it's not those 2 words. That's rules lawyering because technically it's legal. The other thing that people say is, well, you get those free guesses, that, like we had that fruit left over. Okay, we know we got the fruit left over. I've got this Sphinx one for 2. We could just say, hey, we got that fruit, so add 1 to your number. So I would say Sphinx 3, so they go 1, 2, 3, and then they get another free guess. That's rules lawyering. It may be legal, but it's not within the spirit of the game. That was a tangent, but regardless, there's a few things, concerns I have about this game. One of which is that like you say, you gotta go big or go home, and sometimes you can't. It's hard. It's very, very difficult. If you get a words like armadillo, church, and trash can, trying to come up with something that's going to get people to guess even two of those is not easy. And even if you could come up with something to get somebody to get two of those, you also have to look to go say, well, does my thing also point to another word that might be the assassin? So what sometimes happens is it gets really stressful for the clue givers, that they sit there and are like, oh, I have to, oh, and it could take them time. I mean, it could take 2 minutes, and there is a timer, but that you can play with, but I've never seen anybody use it. So that is not always fun for the clue giver, but by the same token, it's more interesting to be the clue giver. Because you've got something, a challenge. You've got a challenge, an interesting challenge to do, and it may be difficult, but for some people it's going to be right in their wheelhouse. They're going to really relish that challenge. However, when they take their time to come up with the clue, all the clue guessers are just sitting there, they're just waiting. It's downtime. So those are a couple concerns I have about the game.
Your point about the clue givers is valid, but you have to. When you're giving that point, you also have consideration on the number of clue receivers that you have. If you have more than one clue receiver and you give something that's vague, it's likely to hit. You have a bigger chance of it to hit on at least one more person, right?
Well, that's true to a degree, but again, my example, armadillo, church, and wastebasket, I don't think it really matters if you have one guesser or you have 5 guessers. It's going to be difficult to come up with a clue that hits more than one of those. And maybe, tomorrow I'll probably be lying in bed tonight and I'll go, oh yeah, I could get 2 of them with that. But you don't have all day. You've only got a limited amount of time.
Fair enough.
Okay, so overall, what do you think of this game?
Oh, love it. I love this game. It is a worthy successor to the Password franchise. It's fun in a group. We were playing it just the other day. 4 or 5 people gather around playing it. By the end of the game, it only takes about 20 minutes. It's another reason to love it. It's a good, short, tight party game. The entire a big crowd was gathered around, and people that weren't playing it were immediately picking up on the vibe of the game. So anytime you have a party game that draws a crowd and people are inherently obviously that they're having fun in there and they're picking up on the rules without actually having the rules explained to them, that for me is a winning game.
No, you're right. That is a sign of a good party game. But I'm only going to give this a just okay. And that's because I think it's a really great design, but I think the gameplay experience is inconsistent. It really depends on what words your team have, how good the clue giver is, how long it takes them to come up with the clues. So a lot of it's who you're playing with, what words you are. So all that in combination, even though it's a great design, gives an inconsistent game experience. I've had times where this has been a lot of fun. I've had times where I'm like, when are we almost done? So that's why I give it a just okay. I know I'm kind of rowing against the tide there, but that's how I feel about it. Okay, well that's it for this edition. Join us again another time. See ya.
Goodbye.